Sundaland is a biogeographical region of Southeastern Asia which encompasses the Sunda Shelf, the part of the Asian continental shelf that was exposed during the last glacial period of the Pleistocene, from approximately 110,000 to 12,000 years ago. It includes the Malay Peninsula Malaysia on the Asian mainland, as well as the large islands of Borneo, Java, and Sumatra and the surrounding islands. The eastern boundary of Sundaland is the Wallace Line, identified by Alfred Russel Wallace as the eastern boundary of the range of Asia's land mammal fauna, and thus the boundary of the Indomalaya and Australasia ecozones. The islands east of the Wallace Line are known as Wallacea, and are considered part of Australasia. History: the South China Sea and adjoining land masses had been investigated by scientists such as Malay and who had postulated ancient, now submerged, drainage systems. These were mapped by TJIA in 1980 and described in greater detail by Emil and Curry in 1982, complete with river deltas, floodplains and backswamps. The ecology of the exposed Sunda Shelf has been investigated by analyzing cores drilled into the ocean bed. The pollens found in the cores have revealed a complex ecosystem that changed over time. The flooding of Sundaland separated species that had once shared the same environment, such as the river threadfin, that had once thrived in a river system now called North Sunda River or Malay River. The fish is now found in the Kapuas River on the island of Borneo, and in the Musi and Batanghari rivers in Sumatra. Human migrations. According to the most widely accepted theory, the ancestors of the modern-day Austronesian populations of the Malay archipelago and adjacent regions are believed to have migrated southward, for the East Asia mainland to Taiwan, and then to the rest of maritime Southeast Asia. An alternative theory points to the now submerged Sundaland as the possible cradle of Asian population, thus the out-of-Sundaland theory. However, this view is an extreme minority view among professional archaeologists, linguists, and geneticists. The out-of-Taiwan model is accepted by the vast majority of professional researchers. A study from Leeds University and published in Molecular Biology and Evolution, examining mitochondrial DNA lineages, suggested that humans had been occupying the islands of Southeast Asia for a longer period than previously believed. Population dispersals seem to have occurred at the same time as sea levels rose, which may have resulted in migrations from the Philippine Islands to as far north as Taiwan within the last 10,000 years. The population migrations were most likely to have been driven by climate change, the effects of the drowning of an ancient continent. Rising sea levels in three massive pulses may have caused flooding and the submerging of the Sunda continent, creating the Java and South China Seas and the thousands of islands that make up Indonesia and the Philippines today. The changing sea levels would have caused these humans to move away from the coastal homes and culture, and farther inland throughout Southeast Asia. This forced migration would have caused these humans to adapt to the new forest and mountainous environments, developing farms and domestication, and becoming the predecessors to future human populations in these regions. A 2009 genetics study published by the 2009 Human Genome Organization Pan-Asian SNP Consortium found that Asia was originally settled by humans via a single southern route. The migration came from Africa via India into Southeast Asia and what are now islands in the Pacific, and then later up to the eastern and northern Asian mainland. Genetic similarities were found between populations throughout Asia and an increase in genetic diversity from northern to southern latitudes. Although the Chinese population is very large, it has less variation than the smaller number of individuals living in Southeast Asia, because the Chinese expansion occurred very recently, within only the last 2,000 to 3,000 years, following the perfection of rice agriculture. Oppenheimer locates the origin of the Austronesians in Sundaland and its upper regions. Genetic research reported in 2008 indicates that the islands which of the remnants of Sundaland were likely populated as early as 50,000 years ago, contrary to a previous hypothesis, Bellwood and Diz in 2005, that they were populated as late as 10,000 years ago from Taiwan. From the standpoint of historical linguistics, the home of the Austronesian languages is the main island of Taiwan, formerly known as Formosa. On this island, the deepest divisions in Austronesian are found among the families of the native Formosan languages. Ecology. The islands of Sundaland rest on an extension of Asia's shallow continental shelf called the Sunda Shelf. During the Ice Ages, sea levels were lower and all of Sundaland was an extension of the Asian continent. As a result, the islands of Sundaland are home to many Asian mammals including elephants, monkeys, apes, tigers, tapirs, and rhinoceros. The Wallace Line, which includes the Lombok Strait between Bali and Lombok, and the Makassar Strait between Borneo and Sulawesi, marks the end of the Asian continental shelf. The islands of Wallacea are separated from Asia and from Australia and New Guinea by deep ocean. Botanists often include Sundaland, the adjacent Philippines, Wallacea and New Guinea in a single floristic province of Malaysia, based on similarities in the flora, which is predominantly of Asian origin. Ecoregions of Sundaland: tropical and subtropical moist broadleaf forests, Borneo lowland rainforests, Borneo montane rainforests, Borneo peat swamp forests, Eastern Java Bali montane rainforests, Eastern Java Bali rainforests, Mentawai Islands rainforests, Peninsula Malaysian montane rainforests, Peninsula Malaysian peat swamp forests, Peninsula Malaysian rainforests, Southwest Borneo freshwater swamp forests, Sumatran freshwater swamp forests, Sumatran lowland rainforests, Sumatran montane rainforests, Sumatran peat swamp forests, Sundaland heath forests, Western Java montane rainforests, Western Java rainforests, tropical and subtropical coniferous forests, Sumatran tropical pine forests, montane grasslands and shrublands, Kinabalu montane alpine meadows, mangroves, Sunda Shelf mangroves,